Hey guys, how's it going? Just doing a video on the motorcycle tools that I take when I go on a trip. Now the problem, I get a lot of, I get phone calls and comments and emails, people asking what tools do I take, and it becomes a real problem for me to keep bloody saying the same thing over and over and over. So I thought it would be a great idea to do this video, and then I can point people to it and they'll get more information, and it'll be a lot easier for me. So the first thing is everybody's motorbikes are bloody different. Now you can have a postie bike and a postie bike. They're going to be different because you've added something different on it, and it's going to take a different nut size or whatever. That's the biggest thing with taking tools, is that you need to work out what bike you're taking, where you're taking it to, and how long you're going for, and then of course there's your ability to fix things along the way. So obviously there's a few tools and bits and pieces that I think everybody would want to take, and then there's obviously different things for different places and whatever, and that's what we're going to do in this video. We'll go through all that. I'll try and break it down into little sections, and then you've got some tools that will cross over. So something that's not necessarily a tool, but it's something that you might take camping, but you know that you can use that as a tool for fixing or repairing or servicing or whatever. So I suppose, look, if you've got a cool looking bloody cruiser that you're heading down the highway on, or you've got a fun rip around bloody postie bike, or you've got a mean ass dual sport motorcycle, the tools that you're going to need are going to be different from other people. So I suppose the first thing I'll do is just go out and we'll have a look at the places to put tools on each of the different bikes, and then we'll run through the whole lot. Okay, so on Harry, the Boulevard C50, nifty little toolbox. It opens with a key, this side cover pops off, and then we've just got the toolbox in there. I'll just bring you over a little bit closer. Okay, so that's it there. It works pretty well. Now also on Harry, there's another spot here. See that? I've got to take a screw out of there, but in behind here is an area that I can use as well, and I'll show you what I use in there later. Now on Charlie the postie bike, I actually made up a bigger tool kit or box just out of PVC piping. If you've seen the postie series, you would have seen that. So that's nice and big in there, able to carry heaps of stuff. Okay, and then last but not least, Max on the dual sport, or the DR650. It's still got its stock toolkit. It's only small. I never ended up making a bigger one, and I'm just putting stuff in the panniers, but I might look at doing that. Well, there you go, guys. That's all the toolboxes on the bikes. I suppose what it really shows is that you don't have a lot of room to put tools, and you can just get carried away. I mean, if you're like me, and I'm still learning, I still bloody take too much bloody stuff. But yeah, you go, oh, I need this to undo that, and what if this happens, and what if that happens, and it just goes on and on and on, and the next minute you need a four-wheel drive bloody support vehicle. So you can't cater for everything. Shit happens, and look, as you guys know, when you're out there and shit happens, if it always gets sorted out. Your biggest problem is it just might take you a little, take a bit of time out of your trip. But that's half the fun. That's part of the adventure, is when shit goes wrong, and that's the stuff that you remember. All right, so I've brought Max in because Max is most probably, out of all the bikes, that's the most accessorized bike out of the lot of them. So I had to really go over all the bits and pieces and make sure I had a tool for everything. And it's simply all I do is I go, righto, I've got a, this came with the factory kit. If you would have seen these, they just turn inside out. So you've got one, but it actually works as two. So that's a great little saver. We go righto. I've got a Phillips head or a star screw. Yep, that'll work. Done deal. Over here I've got an Allen key, so I'll find the Allen key and I go, right, cool, that'll do that. Put that one aside. And so I'll have all the stuff over here, and then I'll basically just go, right, I need that. Put that one there, and then I need that one. Till you get to the point where you go, okay, you've got all the ones that you think you're going to need. If I was on the cruiser, there are some things that I'm not going to take. Like for Max, I've got spanners and that to take off the what do you call it? The axle nuts. But on Harry, there's no way I'm not going to bloody take that, because if I get a puncture on that, there's no way I'm going to be pulling those wheels off in the middle of friggin' nowhere on a highway or something like that, and try and change a tyre. It's not going to happen. So that's where you ring up RACV, which here in Australia, in Victoria, RACV is that's the little van that drives along and buddy fixes your battery or brings a tow truck and puts the bike or car on the back and gets you to a mechanic shop. So they think that's part of your capabilities of what you can do, and obviously different bikes means you've got different capabilities of whatever you're going to do. And I'm never going to bloody change a tyre on the cruiser. So when I've taken that cruiser, and normal people wouldn't do it, but I'm an idiot, and when you're taking into the outback and you're going along dirt roads and stuff like right way out, I did take spare tubes with me. Now, as you can see, for a cruiser, that's the rear wheel and that is the front. That's quite a lot, and that's pretty heavy too. That's a lot of bulk in that. But the reason why I took that was, out in the middle of bloody nowhere, the mechanic shops aren't going to have spare tubes for a Boulevard C50. So that would have been a time factor for me, not having to wait to get things shipped in to be able to change it. I also, and because it's spoke tyres on the Boulevard, I couldn't just take either one of these. See that? So that's just your standard bloody fix the hole. So that's for a tubeless tyre. Same with the, and this is my preferred one, pocket. I can't even believe the pocket tyre plugger. So I don't have that option. So I thought, if I'm in the middle of nowhere and there's going to be bloody days before I get picked up or whatever, maybe slime will get me to the next town. So, and in that spot that I said I'd show you, where I put something on the other side of which isn't actually part of the toolbox, it's just a little cover, bulky looking thing. But on the inside, I taped that onto that cover, so that just sat in there. Because it's only an emergency that I'm going to need it. So, yeah. These are all the little things that you're kind of bloody thinking about with your bike and what you're going to do. So now what we'll do is, I don't know what I'm fucking doing, below the joint. Where you put your tools in, apart from the toolbox, but then normally we have a little pouch. And these are little pouches that come with the factory. They work well. Chuck all your tools in there and then that goes in your toolbox or in the pannier or whatever it is. I've even used, and I do this for the Boulevard, that's a sunglass, just a sunglass little pouch. I put all the tools in. The reason why I use that is because this really forms up, and just because I have everything all in there nice and tight. Whereas this kind of like, it's not much, but it does waste a bit of space. Alright, let me think what I'm doing and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so I suppose the first thing that everybody thinks about is, stay there, is petrol. Am I going to bloody have enough petrol? Well, again, that depends on where you're bloody well going. On the Boulevard, got these nifty little Redicans. don't ask me where to buy them because you can't buy them in Australia, and the guy over in America that sells the bloody things won't ship them over here to sell them, even though he says he's gonna. Never does. Crazy. Nay uses that one on the Intruder. Just sits in her bag. On the back of Charlie, the postie bike, one of those. As you can see, they're bulging up because of the heat. And of course on Max, it's got a bloody 33 litres, I reckon that thing holds. So most of the time you don't, but there is that rare chance when, of course, I've got to go along the bloody French line, and that's not enough. I'll quickly run out and I'll grab the things that we took. And that's another option, is fuel bladders. They pack up when you don't need them, and you can just store them on the bike, but then when you want them, roll them out. That's 12 litres. You can get really big ones. This one's from liquidcontainment.com.au. And I used that one going across the Simpson Desert. Worked a bloody treat. They don't break, they don't bust, they don't blow out. They perfectly bloody very good. That's just a 3 litre one. Same deal. It's just 3 litres. So depending, geez, I'm puffing out. So yeah, I mean, you've got to find what's going to fit on your bike with all your other bits and stuff. There's just shitloads of options out there. So that was the petrol, and that's obviously the first thing that everybody thinks about. Once you've got that done, I think the next thing that people think about is, what happens if I get a puncture? Well, like I said, on the Boulevard, it's called RACV. Get it taken somewhere and get it fixed. On Max and on the postie bikes, both the same deal, because I know I would have half a chance. I've never had a puncture, fingers crossed, and but I did just for an exercise. I tried to change the tyre on the postie bike, and I'm laughing because, and I'll go and get it. I've kept it for this very reason. I knew at some stage on a video I'm going to be able to show someone how I changed a tyre. Okay, here we go. So I think this was just the one that was busted. Yeah, that's the old one. So these are 2 brand new ones that I had, one for the front and one for the back. And one of these you'll see, yeah, look at that. See that? That's me hankering down with bloody tyre irons. I suppose if I was to think about changing a tyre, it's practice and it's technique. It's not brawn strength or anything like that. That's wrong. It would just screw you over every time. And then this one isn't as bad as that one, because that was my first one. And then this one, there's somewhere on there's a small bloody a small hole. So it took me. So I had to go and buy more. I went up to Elliott Brothers and got another one, and I changed it, and it worked. So it's not bloody easy. For me anyway. I know you guys, some of you guys are out there going, this is bloody easy as hell. So I took for Max, what did I do with it? I did take spare set of tubes, with the thought that if I did get a puncture, I could change it. Struggle, but between me and Ken, we'd be able to get it changed. I did also take the slime, because I just think that's it's a lot easier if you can bloody whack this in your tube, and it'll get you to the next town. And when you're in the outback, the next town could be 400 kilometres away. But if you can go into a bar, have a beer, relax a bit, then go out to your bike and go, right, okay, let's fix this. That sounds like a whole lot bloody better idea, instead of trying to do it in the blazing heat on the side of some dirty little track. Alright, so that's petrol, tyres. And obviously, remember, if you're going to be doing your tyres, you have to have tyre irons. Now don't laugh at me. This was my first set of tyre irons I bought. They're for a car. I'm an idiot. I won't say any more about that. I was talking to, what's his name? Shit. The head guy in the mechanics out the back of Elliott Brothers. I've forgotten. Right, I think it is. And he said you get just a simple set of this, but he did give me a tip. And he said on the ends, because they get quite pivoted, he said try and smooth them up as much as you can. So you start with the grinder and then you get a buffer and you just smooth them up. And it makes the job of doing it a lot easier. So that's a pro tip. So I took those ones with the postie bike. With Max, DRC, so the guy, Craig from Steve Kramer Products down in Melbourne, who's the dealer from the Maxima oils, and DRC, which they do all tools and pumps and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he sent us one of these. So these are really good because they're tyre irons, but they're also done to fit. I don't know if you can see that. The 24 and 19. So basically, that slots on there, and you can't see that because we're out of frame, but that fits on the back one. So obviously, if you're going to try and change your tyres, you've got to be able to get the nuts off, and then use that. All right. So then the next thing after that, I suppose, is just the odd things that break or snap, or whether you're falling down or something's starting to rattle loose, you've got to change it, and that's where you just use your factory tools, and like these, they'll come with the double-ended ones, with your screwdrivers. They'll have a little pair of pliers. I don't use the little pair of pliers because they're just hanky things, and I've got something else that I use. And then, so for doing service stuff, you've obviously got to have a spark plug remover. Make sure you got one of those. I've never had to do it. You don't have to change it very often, but in the event that something goes wrong and it all gets oiled up or something like that, you can pull them out and do it. So that brings us to if you've got a bike that has a chain on it, like the Boulevard has a drive shaft, and I don't need to worry about that. It just goes. Well, I don't until it bloody breaks, and then it's sitting up there underneath that Maxima sign. That's the tail shaft out of the Boulevard that a seal broke and it rusted and ended up giving away. But anyway, what was I saying? See, I get myself bloody lost. What the hell was I on about? Oh yeah, so I'm saying, just your emergency bits of stuff. So everybody knows you've got to have Ziploc ties. They are invaluable. I've used these on this stuff on the Boulevard. Up here, that's the back rack. It actually snapped. It was when I took it out into the outback, and it had actually partly cracked, and I seen it there, and then I put a big ass bag on it, and we went up to Mount Kosciuszko. And of course, it fully busted, and we had to use these and also quick steel, which I'll show you as well. But yeah, they're bloody fantastic. Duct tape, we all know duct tape. You can never have too much duct tape, and as you can see, my roll has gotten way down, and I'd have to get another one to tape. But yeah, a combination of zip ties, duct tape, and these other two, which is quick steel and the quick epoxy. You can just about bloody fix anything. Temporarily. So that's what I was saying, was the chain. So on Max and on the postie bike, I just take, I think it's this back one. Yep, that one. Is it that one? No, it's that one. I had these little bottles, and they actually had weed killer in it, and I've thoroughly washed it and all that kind of stuff, and got all the stuff out. They hold 500 mil, so it was really perfect size. So I just put 20W, just regular bloody engine oil in that, and that's what I carry on Charlie just to top up. But I also use just that engine oil to lube the chain. I do that, chain the lube. Bloody hell. So yeah, that's one less thing you have to, having a spray pack with the spray on it for the chain. But I only do that with the postie. With Max, I use chain wax, and that worked so well when we did the Simpson. Now that actually, I've got the big one. My little one I gave to Ken because I got this big one, but it comes in that size. But yeah, we use the chain wax in that size, so that comes along. And just every morning we would just spray it on liberally. So that fixes your chain. And that's really all you should have to do, like from a maintenance, is just keep that bloody chain lubed. You shouldn't use any oil, and if you use a little bit, you have your little bottle. Like for Max, I've got this one here. I label everything so I know, because I bloody that many motorbikes and bloody shit all over the joint. I forget what's what. So yeah, I just took. I actually took 2 of these. I didn't need to. I didn't use any oil. I suppose air filter if you're going into dusty places, but man, it's got to be really dusty to really warrant having to take spray respraying. Sorry, I'm getting dry in the throat because I'm talking too much. Fab 1, which is the Maxima thing. The only thing they don't have is in a small. It would have been really good if they had a small tin, and then I might have contemplated taking it, but that's just too big to carry. So what Ken had a great idea, and somebody else actually told me before Ken gave us what he was doing. Someone said to put a Chucks, like a dishwashing liquid, a dishcloth over it, and basically that will stop a lot of it coming through, and then halfway through your trip you can just throw that one out, and then away you go again. Ken came up with a bloody hairnet. So what we did was put the hairnets over the filter, and I think we got to Inaminka, and that would have been most probably, I don't know, nearly 2/3 of our trip. We thought, we should check the air filters, and we opened them up, and they were pretty good. And then we just ripped that off and said, right, that's it, done. I think that's it for maintenance. So they're simple stuff. So the next thing that we basically come into is things like, actually, WD-40. It really annoys me too, see? I really like the Maxima stuff now, so I prefer to use it if possible. That's pretty much DW40 and the MPPL, so it's, multi-purpose penetrant lube. It doesn't come in a small can, so I've got to go with the WD-40 because it's that little handy bloody thing, packs away, and that's great for anything, starting the bloody carburettor, loosening up nuts and bolts if they need it, putting a bit of lube in something's a bit bloody stiff, to lubing your chain. Lubing your chain, that's right, I said it right, lubing the chain. One thing I didn't say about, obviously when you're doing the puncture, fixing a puncture on the bike, I'm just getting over a bloody, a bit of a throat infection. So you need to pump your bloody tyre. If you fixed it, you've got to put air in it. So I take one of these. It's a little mini Tomcat air compressor. Works great. I just plug it into the 12 volt socket away it goes, just pumps away. But you can use these CO2 canisters. Just you got to remember to work out how much you need for your tyre. A lot of the little bloody 250s and 400s and all that kind of stuff, they don't need too many of these, but when you get up into the bigger bikes, they take a lot of them and it becomes impractical. This is a tool that bloody works. It's just I actually got this years and years. It would have been, I don't know. Shit, I'm getting old now, so it must be 20 years ago. I got this, and it is still, and I've used this heaps. Just, I don't know, it doesn't even bloody get dirty, but multi-tool. Gotta have a multi-tool. It's got all the bits and pieces. It's got the little knives and saws and screwdrivers and all that kind of stuff. That's a must-have tool. Another tool, obviously, back to the flats, because on this isn't scripted. You've got to be able to get your valve out. So a little valve tool. Air pressure gauge. This is one from DRC. They make it. I actually had, for quite a while, I used a slime. When I first got onto the slime, they had the little slime gauges. And that works really well, and it's very accurate. But the only problem why this is better, it's a little bit bigger, but this has a little button on it. So when you just push it onto your tyre, onto your valve, and then you just lift it up and you go, oh yeah, that's all right. Whereas this one, I've got to bloody get down and you've got to be, yeah, is that what it is? Simple. And that's good if you're on a bike like that and you're going through sand and dirt and stuff, and you want to be putting your pressures up and down to suit whatever terrain you're on. Okay. As you know, I love the bloody gotcha straps, and this is a new addition. So, shit. I now carry a few of those because they are just bloody handy. I'm going to go and have a lozenge and then I'll come back to you. Alright guys, I've gone and had a cup of coffee and I've had a couple of lozenges and I've still got one. Let's continue. So, another great little thing is a lighter. Anything a lighter? Oh. This is one of those things that kind of like cross over a toolbox and an everyday use. Obviously if you're a smoker you're going to have one of these, but this is something to have in a toolbox, because if your spark plugs oil up, you can use that to burn up all that oil and shit. Another thing is, if you've got, well, none of these have it, but if you've got straps and stuff, you know how sometimes they start fraying. The simple, which everybody knows, simple thing is you just bloody get that, do that, tightens it all up and they won't fray again. And I'm sure there's plenty of other bloody reasons to start a fire, to burn your bike, because you've had enough of it. Alright, I think that's it. So then, the quick steel. I'm going to show you how it works if you haven't seen it before. Most of you guys most probably have, but I'll show you on here. Quick steel has saved me bacon. When I was on the cruiser doing that Great Australian Ride, and I come off, and you can see that there, that when it came off, the gear lever got pushed by the what do you call it, the foot pad bloody thing, the floorboard, pushed it up, cracked a hole in it, and you can see there is the crack. So basically all we did was picked up the bike, got out the quick steel, kneaded it up, made it a bit rough on there, chucked that on there, And I was sweet, and I was able to continue on a little way to Cameron's Corner, and then I basically went back home from there, which was, I don't know, it was a couple of days riding. And I actually kept topping up because it did start to seep out. And I had to leave the cap because I didn't want too much pressure building up on here. I released the cap, the filler cap, so that not too much pressure, so I'd be leaking stuff out of there. So as I went along, I'd just top it up a little bit each time. But got me home. It's a quick steel, worked a bloody treat on there. This is the pack rack. So imagine that being on the bike runs that way. That come off the back up here, and then there was the rack that came off there. And what had happened on that trip, this had partly split, and then when I put weight on it, this eventually actually snapped off. So me and Nate are on the side of the road, and we put some quick steel on there, and that worked for a little bit, and then it busted again, and because we didn't put enough on it. So then we made it a lot thicker around it, and then we also added on the zip ties around, and then that got us all the way up to Mount Kosciuszko and then back home again, which I've now replaced, obviously. Oh. Something that I haven't used on the motorbike, and that's this epoxy. See that? I'm going to bloody cough again. But I have used this on a radiator on Nay's car. I broke a little hose thing off it. And I thought, shit, once it's broken, that's it. I'm knackered, we've got to get a new radiator hose. I thought, we'll get this bloody epoxy stuff. So we put it on, and we mixed this stuff up and put it all around and built it up nice and thick, and it's still working today. So that has that'll work on steel, plastics, buddy, you name it. So that's been really good. So I'll just give you a quick shot at this. I've got one here that I've already used. Yeah, that one. Actually, I'll bring it over here. Alright. Level that out the way. So this stuff is really, really easy to work with. What did I do with the other one? Oh, there it is. Basically, you grab that, grab your multi tool, grab your knife out, cut out how much you might want to use all of it. If you only want to use a small amount of it, cut through that, put the rest back away, get this plastic stuff off. And then all you do is, you can see it's got the light grey colour and then the dark grey. You've got to mix those two till they're one colour. And as you do it, you actually feel it heat up a little bit. You can see it's just like plasticine. So basically, well, it should be about it. So when you can see that it's all one colour. So if I was to, I don't know, we'll make a stick out of it. We'll leave that like that, and we'll come back to it in about 5-10 minutes. 5 minutes. Yeah, so that's quick steel, the epoxy, quick epoxy, or whatever you want to call it. They're really good things to have as the added out of the every ordinary bloody stuff. That's great fix-it stuff. Now this is one of those things that cross between camping and bloody whatever, but head torch. I mean, this is bloody handy. If you're on the side of the road at night time or in poor light, you might look a bit bloody silly, but having one of these, just being able to see where you're working, I always carry a headlamp. I remember the first time I got onto it, and I think we went to the Grampians with Craig and Debbie, and that was the first time I used a headlamp, and I've never looked back since. They're just ingenious. This particular one also has an added, and they're not really, like this one's not really bright, but it's just enough for what you need, and the bonus to that is that these things will bloody last, friggin' 2 weeks running. But this one actually has a red light. I had another one that had a red light, but it was just red all the time. But this one actually flashes, and I never used the red light. Something about it doesn't dilute your pupils, and it's like, well, yeah, but I don't want to be looking in red light all the time. But I thought, geez, if you're on the side of the road and you're fixing something, and you've got another torch, obviously, you could strap that to the back of your bike, and it'd be a little warning light for so people don't crash into you. Although sometimes I think people look at these lights and then they do crash into you. But anyway, and yeah, this is my tent torch. Has that the magnetic thing, and I have that little piece of thing, so I put that on the outside of the tent and that on the inside, which means I can have that anywhere. But in the sense of on the motorbike, if you've got a metal thing, you can stick it to it and then have your light. You couldn't see that. And it's also got the little, my fingers have got all that stuff over it. See, multi-tool. You can hang it up. You don't want to be hanging on a torch and also using tools on your bike. So I always have one of these, the headlamp, and then I also have the torch. Now these are one of those bloody see a long way with them, but the batteries don't last that long on them. I mean, on a small trip it's not a problem, or depending on how much you're using it, but because they're so bright and they go so far, they just use a lot of power, which batteries don't bloody last very long. Alright guys, I think that's really about it. Oh, hang on, what are we doing here? Oh, you can feel it, it's hot. Man, it's not overly hot, but that's starting to hurt now. Whew. That's still going, I can still feel it's a bit pliable. So yeah, I really think that's it. I mean, just to recap on it all, if petrol wise, you might not need to carry petrol because your tank's big enough, and where you're going there's plenty of service stations or petrol stations along your way, not a problem. Like we said, with depending on what bike, if you've got a cruiser, forget bloody thinking about you're going to be changing tyres on them. If you get a puncture, you suck it and you ring RACV. If you're on the Postie or a Dual Sport or something that a bike that you can change the tyre on, take a set of spare tubes, and make sure you've got all the tools to be able to change those tyres to get them fitted. You've always got the option of using slime. I've never actually used it, I've never even tested it, it's most probably something I should do. That's another great option. And then, take a bit of spare oil. If you've got a bike with a chain on it, take something to lube it with. Even if it is engine oil or WD-40. Any lube's better than bloody no lube at all. And then make sure you've got your factory tools, your factory tool set, and then whatever little extra bits and pieces, and a multi-tool. Make sure you have your multi-tool. I think that is something that everybody should have on your motorbike. Actually, any man should have a multi-tool. Yeah, that's it. Something to pump your tyres up with. And yeah, then it's all those little odds and ends and bits and stuff. And as you do stuff, you work out your own little bits and pieces that you like to take. But I think that pretty much covers it. Like I said, right from the start, it's really just up to what you're doing. Got a bloody dog. This dog, I tell you what, it is Houdini. Come here, Bella. This is the next door neighbour's dog, and we've been patching this fence. Come here. Come here and say hello to people up here. Hey, Bella, come here. Come on. Oh. All right. See this dog? See this dog? This dog is Houdini reborn. Swear to God, crazy. No, off you go. Yeah, so anyway, there you go. Alright guys, hope I didn't miss anything. Or leave anything, some blazing. Oh, Bella, what are you doing? She's coming to eat our animal's food. Actually, it's the cat's food. I'm trying to video here and you're making noise. Oh, I've got to shut this dog up. Alright, that was a simple fix. I just moved the the bit of food out there. Alright, so hopefully that's it, mate. That I've got everything and I didn't miss anything. You guys will comment and tell me if I've missed something or whatever, but there you go. Alright guys, keep on riding.